Hello and welcome back to another episode. Now summer is finally here and there's still a few jobs to do on my to-do list. So today I will be planting out the kale in the brassica bed. I will also be planting out a few more flowers which I have left over. I need to sort out the broad beans because they have a really bad case of black fly. And I will also be putting some straw around the strawberries and probably harvesting some as well. So it's going to be another busy day up the allotments because, as you can see, there is a lot more to plant out. Now the majority of these are actually flowers and they are the same variety as what I've planted around the pond and what I've planted around in the flower patch as well. But what I've done is I was a bit happy when I was sowing the seeds, so there are a lot of them. My dad's actually already had some of the seedlings put in his allotment, but there was a few left over, so I thought what I would do is I would put them in amongst the vegetables in the vegetable patch, mainly around the Swiss chard, around the brassicas and around the pumpkins, just because there's no room around the beans or potatoes. And there's also some dill and some nasturtiums which are going to go in the brassica bed for companion planting. Now the nasturtiums were actually last year's seed, and nasturtiums do self-seed quite prolifically, which I mean, it's never a bad thing because nasturtiums are pretty. The petals are edible and they're really delicious. And the bees love them as well, so you can't really complain when they self-seed everywhere. I'm going to put 6 nasturtiums in and 6 dill in amongst the brassicas. And there's also some kale to plant out. Now this is a curly variety and it's also purple. It's called Scarlet. And I think it will look really nice next to my red cabbage because they'll both be a nice red purpley colour. I really love kale as well, so there'll be 6 or possibly 7 in that bed. And then that will be the brassica bed all done. There's just some zinnias to plant out. I'm not sure where they're going to go yet. I might try and squeeze them in the flower patch here and maybe 1 or 2 around the pond. But this variety is called a giant dahlia mix and it's from Sarah Raven. I grew zinnias for the first time last year and I really loved them, so I thought I'd try them again this year, and this is obviously a giant variety, so hopefully they look really nice. They're a nice cut flower as well. I'm actually growing the dill more for a cut flower than for use as a herb, just because it's quite nice as a filler. And then all the other flowers, there's just some scabious, there's some wild carrot, there's some more zinnias called Sprite, they're the variety I grew last year. There's some malop, there's some more calendula. There's also an oxeye daisy, which I want to squeeze in somewhere because I think I forgot to plant one of these when I planted all the other flowers out. And I can't forget an oxeye daisy just because I really love them. So he's going to squeeze in somewhere, and that's all the planting that needs to be done today. The other jobs include sorting out the strawberry beds. Now they have gone very crazy over the past couple of weeks, and I have some straw which I like to lay down underneath the strawberries just to stop them rotting on the dirt. I usually do that job about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and last year I was on top of it really good, but this year it's just been very hectic. Actually, we were at a garden show on the weekend just gone, because obviously we've set up the Lavender and Leeks online shop and we do a few garden fairs. The one we were just at was at Stansted Park, and it was from the 5th to the 7th of June, and it was amazing. It was really good, and I actually met a few people who follow me on Instagram, on YouTube, so that was really nice. But yeah, we've been busy doing that all weekend, so we've treated ourselves to a couple of days off just to get all these little jobs done. just because I haven't spent as much time at the allotment as I would have liked. So I'm going to be putting the straw under the strawberries and probably picking some as well, because I can see a few red ones staring at me now. They probably won't make it home because I will probably just scoff them right here. But if there's quite a lot, then I will share them, I think. The other job to do is to sort the broad beans out, because yet again I've let them go a little bit. I don't know if it's been a problem with everyone else, but the black fly has been really bad this year. And yet again, last year I was on top of the black fly, so it didn't get this bad, but this year has just been really, really awful, and there's a lot of black fly around. So what I'm going to do is I've got this handy spray gun, which is air pressured, and I've heard about using soapy water to on the black fly to spray on the broad beans. So just using washing up liquid and just water and just spraying it on the broad beans. So I'll see how that goes. And there's also quite a few broad beans that need harvesting, so I'm going to do that today as well and have them for dinner. And that is it. That is the jobs for today. So I think first of all I'll put the kale in, just so that brassica bed's all sorted. Right, I'm going to put this kale in right next to the red cabbage and the garlic. Obviously the garlic's nearly ready to harvest, so when that comes out there's going to be one row of turnip and one row of kohlrabi here, which will be ready to harvest later on in the year. So I'm trying to use up all the space throughout the whole year, which is probably what you're meant to do anyway, but because my allotment's so small, I'm having to grow certain crops later on in the year just so I can fit them in. So the kale will be going in roughly about 18 inches apart, and they're about 20 inches away from the red cabbage and the garlic. The variety I'm growing, I think I've already said, but I'll say it again, is called Scarlet, so it's a purple variety. It's a curly kale. And I actually only tasted kale last year when we grew it at home, in my dad's allotment. It's really delicious, so I thought I'd grow it again. And I thought I'd give the purple variety a go. So I'm just going to use a dibber, just to dib a small hole. And then we get the kale out. Now they only need to be about 1 inch, 2 inches deep, just so it's level with the ground. Give it a little push in. So the next one's 18 inches away from that one. Obviously you can plant them closer together again or further away, it just depends on how big you want the plant to be. So that's 2. I think there's enough for 6 here, because I've spaced them a little bit further apart than I have done the red cabbage, just because you get so many leaves from the kale. They do spread out a little bit, but they are cut and come again, so that's always great. So after all the kale has been put in, I am going to put the flowers in and amongst the brassica bed. So there's going to be a few flowers which I grew for the cut flower bed, but there's also going to be some dill and some nasturtiums in here. Now they're supposed to act as a companion planting, so they're supposed to deter white cabbage fly and other aphids. And also the nasturtiums taste nice as well, and the dill looks pretty, so I'll be putting them in here. actually sown too many purple kale, but better too many than not enough. Right, so one more, let's pick a nice big one. He's nice and big. So after I put the kale in, I'll put the flowers in and the dill and nasturtiums, and then what I need to do is put the cage around the brassica bed, just to protect them from the pigeons and all the other birds that like to pull them up, and then obviously later on when they're bigger to protect them against the white butterfly. And I'm going to use the same cage that we did last year, which is just some wooden supports in. I'm going to thread the bamboo through them and then just put some butterfly netting over the top. That worked really well last year, and we didn't have any problem with the butterfly. We just had problem with the white fly. So I'm going to put the flowers in, give it all water, and then put the cage up, and then that is this bed entirely done. Just empty this soil out, we don't want to take that home. Let's go. So I'll just pick some broad beans. There's actually quite a lot on there. I'm quite surprised at how big they've gotten. So that's more than enough for dinner tonight. And I also managed to pick some sweet peas. And there's only 5 stems there. But the thing to do with sweet peas is to just keep picking them and they will produce more. So I will take them home and pop them in a little vase. I'm quite happy with them. I especially love this purple colour. And they smell nice as well. So I'm going to put them in a little vase at home. So that's all the jobs done. The last thing to do is to eat the strawberries. Now there was only about 10 strawberries which had turned proper red. There's a few on there ripening, but I'm going to leave them for a few days just so they can get nice and juicy red. So I don't think I'm going to take this home to share. I think I might eat them all. So before I tuck into them, I just want to say thank you for watching and I will see you all next time. They are delicious. Definitely not sharing these.